Why are most real estate photographers broke? That's probably a question that I should have asked myself about 5 years ago when I was a real estate photographer and I was broke. But we've learned a lot since then, so I feel like I should share some of those things. So I think the 80-20 rule really applies here. I think it's like 80% is client acquisition, bringing in new customers, bringing in some sales versus 20% creative. That 20%, I think, leads to retaining clients. If your work is really good, they love it. Once you build up a client base, they stay with you because of your talent. But that 80-20 rule is like 80%. Your business is growing because you are making it grow, not because you're just super talented. Sorry. So let's go over a few things about why real estate photographers are broke usually and how we can help fix that. So I think the number one thing that comes to mind is they don't niche down right away. How many times has your toilet broke at home and it's gushing water and you call a handyman? You don't call a handyman, you call a plumber because a plumber specializes in that gushing toilet. The same thing goes for if people are looking up, take photos of my house. They're looking up real estate photographer. They are not looking up a photographer just in general. They're looking up you as a specialty. So if you have an Instagram page or you have a website that's like, hey, I'm a real estate photographer, I'm a wedding photographer, I'm an event photographer, I do it all. You should use me. That's really not the way to go. If you do all of those things, totally fine, but create separate accounts for it. Alex's real estate photography business, Alex's wedding photography business, Alex's blah, 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 blah. If you want to do that, I think that's the best way to do it. But beyond that, I think the best way to do it is actually just to stick with one thing. There is a immense power in focus. All right, the second thing is consistency. This is something that is really hard to do when you're doing it part-time. When I started this 5-6 years ago, I was not consistent with posting. So when you are growing this, you need to let your audience know or your potential clients know that you are actually doing this, like you are in it. Even if you're not in it all the way yet, you want them to think that you are. So, one house, we are so lucky that in this business, we have unlimited content. Even if you do one house, that's like 40 pictures that you have to post on social media. So take all those photos and have them planned out for the week. So for us, we post twice a day, every single day for photos. And then we also create reels and stories on top of that. So we're posting typically 3 times a day plus stories. And that has really helped build up our base of people that trust what we are doing. So real quick, for those of you that don't know who I am yet, I just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Alex Serro. I run a 6-figure real estate photography business with 5 full-time people with me, and we have been doubling every single year. And I wanted to make these YouTube videos so I can help you guys get out of the position that I was in just a few years ago, where I was working in a job that I hated, and I was trying to get into this full-time. And if I knew what I knew today, I could have done it at least twice as fast. So that is the point in these videos. So I was thinking back to when I was first really starting to blow the business up and what were the big things that helped me get to that next point? And again, it wasn't the fact that the photos were really great, because I look back and they were not really great. But what it really was reaching out to people and just being so consistent with making sure that I'm talking to new people and just offering my services. So one of the biggest clients that we have, it probably contributes about 40% of our revenue. It's a team that has about 40 people, and they're the biggest team in the area. And that was a cold call. I had a client that I knew was like one of their main competitors, and I called them and I said, hey, my name is Alex Serro. I own Coastal Luxury Image. I shoot for one of your biggest competitors, and I've heard a lot about you guys, and I just wanted to introduce myself and see if there was any way that I could start shooting for you guys at some point, or if we could do a test shoot. The guy was actually really receptive to it. He said, I'm not super impressed that you're actually shooting for him, because obviously he is one of our competitors, but maybe not impressed. He was like, maybe that's not a good thing, but we will give you a shot. So he ended up giving me a shot on one of their houses that was coming up that was a little bit lower end, which makes sense, trying out a new photographer. It went really well. They liked it, and they said, okay, let's go ahead and do a few more. So we did a few more, and about 2 months later, they gave me a call and they said, hey, Alex, we are going to make you our primary photographer. They have about 3 because they have so many agents. And that was like amazing. This came from one single cold call. And so we continued from there. Fast forward to now, we actually do 100% of the business for them. We have a contract with them. I grew my team, they grew their team, and we just kind of grew together. And that's not the only instance like that. I look back and I have all kinds of clients at this point that came from either a cold call or a cold email. And so this business, looking at the revenue that we do now, has truly just come from so much outreach, just pounding the pavement, if you will, of phone calls, emails, and knocking on people's doors. I mean, even now we just finished up a marketing booklet that is like, I want to just reach more people and more people. So as we're out, if you shoot 4 houses in a day, if you have like 30 minutes in between, stop at a real estate brokerage that we've never shot for, drop off the booklet, introduce yourself. It's all about client acquisition and meeting new people. The second biggest thing is customer service. This is so crucial. Guys, please listen to me. Customer service is the biggest thing beyond sales that you have to focus on. If you have a client call you, pick up the phone. One of my very first clients, I'll never forget, he said, if you want to make a big business, if you want to be successful, you have to do one thing. When your phone rings, pick it up. And that has really stuck with me. I pick up my phone every single time it calls. Even if I'm in the middle of a shoot, I say, hey, this is Alex. They say what they need to say. And I say, hey, I'm so busy right now on a shoot. Let me call you back in about 15 minutes. And they're like, okay, no problem. Or you can text me and I'll try to text you back. And so just pick up the phone and be there for your clients. And then we do not nickel and dime. So if somebody says, hey, the countertops were like a slightly different color, or they say, hey, do you happen to have a photo of the backyard from this angle? We make sure it's like, if they have a problem, we fix the problem. That is really all there is to it. You don't have to win the argument. You don't have to be like, no, it was that color. It's like, that's not the point. The point is to make sure that you're happy and that their client is happy. Customer service is how you maintain your business after you bring in the business. You're looking at the lifetime value of a client. If you have one client that comes in and they're $500 a shoot, well, they're worth a whole lot more to you if you can keep them and they do 40 shoots with you, then you piss them off, 2 shoots in and then they're gone. So sales and marketing, customer service, 2 biggest things to not be broke as a real estate photographer. All right, guys, so I said earlier in this video that there's an immense power in focus, and I really want to drive that home as the last point here. When you are doing anything, if you want it to be successful, you have to truly commit to it. Somebody that I follow, Andy Frisella online, he said the only way that you're going to fail is if you quit. And there's so much truth to that. You might not be able to start right away the way you want to. Maybe you're in a situation where you're working a job and you have, no savings, you're just trying to get by, and you don't have the money to buy the equipment. Well, take note of that and start to work towards that. When I really wanted to jump into this full time, I knew that it was a risk. I went from a salary job where I knew how much I was going to get every single week. Even if it wasn't an amount that I was happy with, I knew what it was. So that's, of course, a big leap for anybody going into full-time entrepreneurship. And what I did is I made sure I had 6 months of reserves in the bank that I knew if I couldn't sell a single person, if I couldn't get one new client and all of the clients that I had just dropped me, I could last for 6 months. And if at that point I needed to, I would go, find a new job. But I put myself in a situation where I mitigated the risk. I already built up a little bit of a clientele. I already had some equipment that I had saved up over time. I bought all of my equipment used. Nothing was bought new. And I just worked it in little by little by little. And I just didn't quit. And I made sure that when I said I was going to do a real estate photography business, I committed to it. How many of you, show of hands here, have started something and quit it in the past? Because I'm absolutely guilty of this. I have started every kind of entrepreneurial business you can think of over the past 10 years. And so many of them could have been successful if I fully committed to them. And, part of growing in your entrepreneurial life is figuring out what you want to do. And so that could be part of that, just kind of tasting things and figuring out what you want to do. But if you are truly wanting to make something successful, you need to commit to it. And that really is going to be the differentiator in you being broke and you being actually successful, making 6 figures a year. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching this one. That's going to be it for me on this video. But I want to kind of foreshadow an upcoming video. I'm in a podcast set right now of a studio that I created as a secondary business to the real estate photography business. So I want to touch more on that in a future video because I'm sure a lot of you probably shoot a lot of marketing videos for your clients, as I have been doing. And I was constantly going into their business, into their office and shooting clips in there. And I ended up going, man, this would be a great great opportunity for me to have my own studio, bring them into it. And so that's what I did. And I'm going to give you guys a full tour of it. We have a podcast studio, 2 other video studios, and I think as you grow your real estate photography business, maybe this kind of business would also be a good secondary step for you guys. So that will be in the future, but that's going to be it. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.